The stale scent of leftover meatloaf and lemon-scented polish hung in the air of our suburban Michigan home, a familiar perfume of my new, fractured life. It was a Tuesday, which meant my dad, Mark, was working late at the automotive plant, and I, 16-year-old Chloe, was marinating in the particular brand of teenage angst that only a silent, too clean house can inspire. My phone, a slick rectangle of infinite distraction, was my only tether to the world outside, to my friends who still had normal, messy families. My stepmom, Sarah, had been in our lives for 2 years, a permanent fixture for one. She was fine, that's the word I'd settled on. She wasn't the wicked stepmother from a fairy tale. She didn't make me scrub floors or lock me in a tower. She was a 38-year-old graphic designer with a penchant for organizing the pantry by color and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. Our relationship was a carefully negotiated peace treaty, full of polite, please, and thank yous, and conversations that skimmed the surface like a stone on water. We coexisted. We did not connect. The trouble started, as it often does, with a boy. Liam. He had floppy brown hair that constantly fell into his eyes and a laugh that made my stomach do a little flip. We'd been texting for weeks, a thrilling, nerve-wracking exchange of memes, deep questions about life, and flirty banter that I'd dissect for hours with my best friend, Maya. That night, the conversation had taken a turn. A serious turn. Liam's texts were appearing on my screen in rapid succession, the little typing bubbles a source of heart-pounding anticipation. Liam. I can't stop thinking about you, Chloe. Liam. Seriously, you're different. Liam. I feel like I can tell you anything. My thumbs flew across the screen, a giddy smile plastered on my face. This was it. This was the moment. The house was silent, save for the hum of the refrigerator. Sarah was upstairs in her office, probably designing a logo for some new local bakery. The coast was clear. I feel the same way. You have no idea. I hit send, my heart hammering against my ribs. The 3 little dots appeared, danced, and then his message came through. It was long. My eyes scanned the words, and my blood ran cold. Liam. That's why I have to tell you this. I haven't been honest. My dad, he's not on a business trip. He's in jail. He got caught embezzling from his company. My mom is a wreck. We might lose the house. I've been carrying this around for months, and I had to tell someone. I had to tell you. The world tilted. This wasn't the confession of a crush I was expecting. This was heavy, adult-level trauma dumped into my lit-up screen. I felt a wave of sympathy so intense it was nauseating, mixed with a strange sense of pride that he trusted me with this. But beneath that, a cold, sharp spike of fear. This was a secret, a big one, and I was now its keeper. Before I could even begin to formulate a response, a new message popped up. From Maya. Maya. Girl, you will not believe the tea I just heard about Liam. My stomach dropped. Tea was Maya's code for gossip, usually of the dramatic, relationship-ending variety. Me. What? Tell me. Maya. So I was talking to Jessica, who heard from her boyfriend Mike, who is on the football team with Liam. Apparently his dad isn't in jail. He's a dentist. They just got back from a family vacation to Florida. Liam has been telling this crazy sob story to a bunch of girls to get sympathy and, well, you know. The floor fell out from beneath me. The sympathy curdled into a hot, shameful humiliation. The words on Liam's screen, which moments ago had seemed so raw and vulnerable, now looked like a carefully crafted script. He was playing me. He had been playing me all along. The flips my stomach did were now just sickening lurches of disgust. Tears of rage and embarrassment welled in my eyes. I felt like the biggest fool on the planet. I started typing a furious response to Liam, my fingers trembling so violently I could barely hit the right letters. It was a jumble of accusations, of, how could yous, and, I believed yous. It was messy and emotional and exactly the kind of dramatic response he probably got off on. Just as I was about to hit send, I heard it. The soft creak of the floorboard on the landing. My head snapped up. Sarah was standing at the bottom of the stairs, holding an empty water glass. She must have come down from her office without me hearing. How long had she been there? What had she seen? Her expression was unreadable. It wasn't angry. It wasn't disapproving. It was just observant. Her eyes flickered from my tear-streaked face to the phone clutched in my white-knuckled hand. Everything okay, Chloe? She asked, her voice neutral, the same tone she used to ask if I wanted chicken or fish for dinner. Panic, white-hot and absolute, seized me. This was the worst possible moment for her to walk in. I was at my most raw, my most vulnerable. This was my humiliation, my private disaster. She wasn't my mom. She didn't get to see me like this. She didn't get to offer some platitude from a parenting blog and think she'd fixed it. The carefully constructed walls of our polite coexistence felt like they were cracking, and I couldn't let that happen. Fine, I snapped, my voice thick with unshed tears. I shoved my phone face down on the couch cushion as if it were evidence of a crime. I'm fine. She didn't move. She just stood there, her head tilted slightly. I expected her to retreat. To take the hint, refill her water glass, and go back upstairs to her color-coded world. That was our pattern. I push, she retreats. But she didn't. She walked over and sat down in my dad's worn armchair, across from me. She placed the glass on the coffee table with a soft click that echoed in the silent room. You don't look fine, she said quietly. It wasn't an accusation. It was a simple, stark statement of fact. I bristled. Well, I am. It's just stupid teenage drama. You wouldn't understand. It was a cheap shot, designed to push her away. To re-establish the distance between us. A faint, sad smile touched her lips. Try me. I shook my head, staring at a loose thread on the hem of my hoodie. The weight of Liam's lie, of Maya's revelation, of my own gullibility, was crushing me. But the idea of sharing it with Sarah felt even worse. It felt like surrendering. We sat in silence for a full minute. The grandfather clock in the hallway ticked away the seconds, each one a hammer blow to my nerves. I could feel her gaze on me, not pushing, just waiting. Finally, she let out a soft sigh. When I was 16, she began, her voice taking on a distant, reflective quality I'd never heard before. There was this boy. Jason Miller. He had a motorcycle and a leather jacket, and I was convinced he was the love of my life. I risked a glance at her. She was staring at a point on the wall somewhere past my head, a ghost of a smile on her face. He told me his parents were getting a divorce, that his mom was moving to California and wanted him to go with her. He said he was thinking of running away instead, and he asked me to come with him. I packed a bag, Chloe. I had $200 saved from babysitting, and I was ready to leave everything, my family, my friends, school, for this boy and his stupid motorcycle. I was listening now, despite myself. It was impossible to imagine the perfectly put-together Sarah, with her structured blouses and her curated home, as a runaway teen. What happened? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. My mom found the bag, she said, her smile turning wry. Not by accident, she said she had a feeling. She sat me down, just like this, and she didn't yell. She just asked me to tell her about Jason. And as I was telling her his sob story, I heard myself saying it out loud for the first time. And it sounded thin. It sounded like a story. So I did some digging. Called his house. His mom answered. They were all going to a family reunion in Wisconsin the following weekend. No divorce. No California. He'd told the same story to 3 other girls in my grade. My jaw went slack. The parallels were too exact, too bizarre. It was my story, just 30 years in the past. He was just a liar. I breathed, the truth of it settling over me like a shroud. A very practiced one, Sarah nodded. They often are. They know how to find the kind girls, the empathetic ones, and they know exactly what to say to make you feel special, to make you their confidant. It makes the lie so much more powerful. Tears started to flow again, but this time they weren't just from anger or humiliation. They were from a strange, dawning sense of connection. She got it. She really, truly understood. His name is Liam, I choked out, the dam finally breaking. I told her everything. The texting, the flirting, the slow buildup of trust, and then the big, dramatic confession about his dad being in jail. I showed her Maya's text, the one that exposed it all. The words tumbled out of me, a torrent of pain and confusion that I had been holding inside for weeks. Sarah listened. She didn't interrupt. She didn't offer empty consolation. She just listened, her eyes soft with an understanding that felt ancient and genuine. When I was finished, spent and hiccuping, she didn't move to hug me. That would have been too much, too soon, but she leaned forward, her elbows on her knees. Oh, Chloe, she said, her voice thick with empathy. I am so sorry. That is a terrible thing to do to someone. It makes you doubt your own judgment, doesn't it? It makes you feel like you can't trust anyone. Yes, I whispered, the relief of being seen so profound it was almost painful. That's exactly it. What happened next shocked me more than Liam's lie, more than Maya's text. Sarah didn't just offer sympathy. She offered a strategy. Here's what you're going to do, she said, her tone shifting from reflective to quietly determined. You're not going to send that angry text you were typing. I'm not. No, because anger gives him power. It shows him he got to you. He's probably waiting for it, maybe even screenshotting it to show his friends. Look how crazy she got. The thought made my skin crawl. She was right, so what do I do? Just let him get away with it? Absolutely not, she said, a glint in her eye that I'd never seen before. It was fierce, protective. You take away his power. You respond with one sentence. Just one. You say, I know the truth about your dad. Don't contact me again. And then you block him. Everywhere. You become a ghost. You vanish. He gets no explanation, no drama, no reaction. He gets nothing. I stared at her, a new kind of awe washing over me. This wasn't the placid, conflict-avoidant Sarah I thought I knew. This was a tactical genius. This was a warrior. But everyone will think I'm a jerk. Or that I just ghosted him for no reason. For a little while, maybe, she conceded. But the truth has a way of coming out. And when it does, and people find out what he did, your silence will look like strength, not pettiness. You held your head high and walked away from a liar. That's a powerful message, Chloe. With trembling hands, I picked up my phone. I deleted the novel of rage I had drafted. I took a deep, shuddering breath and typed the words she had given me. I know the truth about your dad. Don't contact me again. I didn't wait for a response. I went to his contact, hit the block button on iMessage, then found him on Instagram, Snapchat, and everywhere else. One by one, I made him disappear from my digital world. With each click, a weight lifted from my shoulders. When I was done, I looked up at Sarah. A single tear traced a path down my cheek, but it was a tear of relief, of closure. Thank you, I said. And for the first time, I meant it. It wasn't a polite, obligatory, thank you. It was a genuine, heartfelt acknowledgement that she had saved me from making a bad situation so much worse. She smiled, and this time, it reached all the way to her eyes, crinkling the corners. It transformed her whole face. Any time, Chloe, really, the story could have ended there. It would have been a nice moment, a step forward. But what happened next cemented it, turning a single moment of connection into the foundation of an entirely new relationship. We heard the garage door rumble open. Dad was home. Panic flickered across my face again, this time for a different reason. I didn't want to explain this to my dad. He would have been furious, he would have wanted to call Liam's parents, to confront him. He would have turned my personal humiliation into a whole big thing. Sarah saw the panic in my eyes. She gave a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. Mark, she said, rising to her feet as he walked in, looking tired in his work coveralls. How was your day? Long, he grunted, dropping his keys in the bowl by the door. He came over and kissed the top of my head. You okay, kiddo? You look like you've been crying. I opened my mouth, but Sarah spoke first, her voice light and easy. Oh, we were just watching this incredibly sad movie on Netflix, she said, seamlessly weaving a protective lie. What was it called, Chloe? The one with the dog. A Dog's Purpose, I supplied, catching on instantly. Right, that one. We were just a couple of weepy messes over here, she said, laughing softly and wiping a mock tear from her own eye. I'd forgotten how sad it was. My dad, a man who trusted Sarah implicitly and had little interest in sad dog movies, just shook his head and smiled. You too. I'm gonna go grab a shower. He headed upstairs, completely unaware of the emotional battlefield he had just walked away from. As his footsteps faded, Sarah turned back to me. Our eyes met, and a silent understanding passed between us. We had a secret, not a bad, Liam kind of secret. A good one, a pact. She had my back, and I had hers. That night, everything changed. The polite distance that had defined our relationship evaporated, replaced by a newfound, easy camaraderie. We started talking, really talking, not about the weather or what was for dinner, but about real things. She told me about her first heartbreak in college, about her struggles starting her own business, about how she sometimes still missed her mom, who had passed away years ago. I told her about my fears about college, my complicated feelings about my own mom who lived across the country, my dreams of being a writer. We discovered a shared, dark sense of humor, a mutual love for terrible reality TV, and a fierce loyalty that, until that night, had been lying dormant. The step in Stepmom began to feel less like a prefix and more like a part of the whole word, no longer defining the boundary of our relationship but simply describing its origin. A few weeks later, I was in the kitchen helping her chop vegetables for dinner when my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. Unknown. Hey Chloe, it's Liam. I got a new phone. Look, I'm really sorry about everything. Can we please talk? I showed the phone to Sarah. She raised an eyebrow, then pointed her knife at a bunch of cilantro. Chop that, she said. And then delete that message. He doesn't get a second of your time. Not even to be told, no. I smiled, chopped the cilantro, and blocked the new number without a second thought. I looked at Sarah, her brow furrowed in concentration as she seasoned the chicken. She wasn't the woman who had married my dad. She wasn't just my stepmom. She was my ally, my strategist, my friend. The moment she walked in on my tear-streaked, humiliated self had felt like the worst possible timing, a violation of my privacy. But it turned out to be the exact right moment, the catalyst we desperately needed. She saw me at my worst, and instead of judging or retreating, she reached into her own past, pulled out a piece of armor, and handed it to me. What happened next didn't just shock me. It saved me. It rebuilt our family from the inside out, on a foundation of shared secrets and unshakable loyalty. And I learned that sometimes, the most profound connections are forged not in moments of perfect harmony, but in the messy, wrong moments that turn out to be exactly right.